What's up, it's Zale, and I'm back with a video to cover some One Piece scaling. Something I haven't really touched on yet, and I didn't want to start off with one of the highest level feats, but I did want to start off with one that is widely loved and still quite strong. Shows off pretty good feat, right? So what I'm talking about here will be Mihawk's very casual air pressure cut of the tidal wave glacier, the Aokiji froze, right? And this feat is always amazing. I love my air pressure feats, right? It seems to be that way. But, so, when we actually look at this, this is, as the title suggests, a tale of two sides of the same feat. And there's just, this was something that was bothering me. But I decided, hell, I guess I just need to do both sides. Now, starting off, for people who have followed some of the calcs for this, it can be no surprise, I'm just going to cover what is generally accepted. And I'm not sure if I actually agree that this is the more accurate take. It's really hard. You'll see what I'm talking about. But when we compare, say, Zanhuan Wolf with like the data book and everything, confirming, like, saying his size is like 180 meters, or Whitebeard's ship as well as himself being compared to like the marine battleships, showing that the marine battleships aren't actually that big then, and we can see Whitebeard himself, you know, compared to the ship and stuff. When we compare a lot of these other things, especially with like the top-down views of Marineford and such, Marineford, not that big. It comes out in height like less than a kilometer. It's not, you know, it's not a special, like, humongous island like you might have believed earlier. And under that assumption, like, I'm sure we've seen some of the calcs, but with all these different scalings and stuff for size, that glacier that he cut is no larger than, or the part that was cut rather, is no larger than this many meters cubed of volume, right? And that's just looking at past calcs. And so I'll quickly cover this in terms of AP, but like I said, there's a whole other side to this. First, this is a feat by Mihawk that's generally calced at around the higher end town level AP for potential energy and higher end large mountain level for kinetic energy, because actually cutting it isn't actually going to highlight the highest level of energy shown. It's more so that it was lifted up by such a large amount from the top end. That's actually where these numbers are going to be more important than just simply having the AP to cut through the durability of the ice. That said, so we're working with potential energy and kinetic energy. And the kinetic energy, again, is like large mountain level, on the higher end. But that, of course, doesn't factor in what a full contact strike is. And that in of itself does at least bring it up to as high as, like, high-end city level for the potential energy, but astoundingly as high as small country level force when we're talking about the kinetic energy. Again, we're talking about the full contact energy of his sword would require about small country levels force. For the mere air pressure to have traveled the distance it did, sliced through that amount of glacier volume, and have lifted it up the height that it did, right? So that is making the kinetic energy come out to full contact, small country levels of force. It is on the low end of that. When we break this down to the joules per cubic centimeter, however, we are then looking at low-end small town level, potential energy per, you know, centimeter cubed here, or high-end city level kinetic energy per centimeter cubed. So down to the smallest centimeter, we're talking about that much force. But that is the general calc of things, okay? Now I want to cover what some would consider a high end. Is this a high end though? So I'll cover a few things on this. Now, those marine battleships, are they really only the size of like Whitebeard's ship? I know we see it verbatim shown to be that way, but something's got to be off, right? Because let me go through some of these scans with the marine battleships, and you can see how monstrous they are. Now, when I talk about being as accurate and consistent as possible, consistency, as I've said many times before, is one of the hugest benchmarks for accuracy. And those Marine battleships are consistently much larger than they were portrayed in some of these shots for like Marine Ford. But not all of them. In fact, a lot of these shots, they do show them still to be massive. Not merely like the size of Whitebeard's ship. So it's really astounding how the two sizes could be so drastic. And it's like, okay, but if you're all about data books, then, you know, we already use on the top end, or like for the lower calc that I just covered, Sanhon Wolf, and, you know, his data book height. But, well, we can cover data books then if that's what you actually care about, because aside from the size of all this, let me just go step by step, okay? First off, we also have data book sizes for the Sunny coming in at as much as 56 meters tall and about 39 meters wide, right? Okay. We also have things such as Wadatsumi here, having height as much as 80 meters. Okay, well, if those are supposed to be what, you know, we are actually seeing in terms of data books there, well, when we actually compare the size of them, like all these things, to the actual, like, Marine battleships, the size of the ships can be lowballed to a minimum of about, like, 150 meters in height, 100 meters in length, and 80 meters in width. This is, like, quite the lowball, okay? We can get, like, triple these numbers, okay? I am very much lowballing the size of a consistently shown size of these battleships. Mind you, this is lowballed. I'm not trying to, of course, highball, but this is a high end, so I took, or potentially a high end. This might be more accurate, but I really didn't want to overstep into any wink territory. Let's continue. This puts the Iceberg piece's total volume that Mihawk sent flying up high with just the air pressure of that casual swing in the minimum ballpark of this much volume of space. We're talking about a tsunami carrying a massive water clocking in at around this many kilograms, with a total height of possibly about the 2,055 meters. Very large, very high, right? And this would make sense when viewing it from the perspective of the consistent ship sizes and scaling from them. This would also make a feat like this fall within the ballpark of approximately lower end of small city level if this was ignoring the air pressure aspect. In fact, what's really being portrayed here is at least a lower end of large mountain force when enacted within just his blade. Now it is a large blade, but in total volume, it's still extremely impressive in what it comes out to for AP, coming in at least this many joules per cubic centimeter, or we're talking the high end of city block joules per centimeter cubed. Okay? That's decent. Okay. All this said, that's, however, only the potential energy. To cut to the chase, the kinetic energy, however, comes out as high as this many joules, or you're looking at a very low end of large island level. This would, however, then come out to approximately this many joules per centimeter cubed, or very high end of small city joules per centimeter cubed in AP. But wait, this is lower than the weaker calc, so what's happening here, right? I kind of did a little switch on you guys. I just wanted to show what it means to factor in something as important as air pressure versus full contact. That was merely pretending like he didn't do it with air pressure and it required full contact. These numbers that you've just seen, screw that. Let's see what Mihawk's full contact swing would actually be throwing out, yeah? This would bring the potential energy as high as large mountain level force, and the kinetic energy as high as very low end of large country level force. You heard that right. And you can additionally see that this puts the joules per centimeter cubed at a potential energy of town level force per centimeter cubed, and the kinetic energy as high as a high end of large mountain level force per centimeter cubed. For every centimeter cubed of space, you have, kinetic energy wise, the high end of a large mountain force enacting itself to lift that much of the glacier. Makes sense, right? Again, I really hope that the joules per centimeter cubed isn't throwing you off, but it allows for each and every character I cover and every feat as well to be appropriately compared for their actual AP. Standardizing an actual method of comparison for these numbers. And so if you're surprised by these numbers, honestly, I know that there's other calcs and everything that get into these numbers anyways. If you're talking about splitting an ice continent, that one's a little too vague for me, so I might go over other feats, but we can try and do minimums and low balls. It's just that One Piece world is so not like our world, it's hard for me to accept that the minimum is something like Antarctica or something. However, there are other things that we can go from to actually get feats that are respective to something of this level, for sure. And we haven't seen everything from One Piece. That all said, this is what these numbers come out to. I'll have them on screen again. You can see now the very important numbers is what's broken down to the joules per centimeter cubed, because that is what's most directly comparable to any of the other feats I've ever covered. But yeah, I hope you really enjoyed the video. Of course, I do plan on covering more scaling from other people I've done before. Also, more One Piece. I will be coming back with some Saint Seiya. But I do have one big project I'm wanting to cover to hit a topic I've hit before, but to really break it down. But stay tuned, a lot more to come, and I'll see you all next time. Ciao, guys.
Pastor.